Hey everybody, how's it going? So yesterday we did another repair workshop, and tomorrow we're going to be doing another free repair workshop. These are where anybody can come by to the store as long as they go to meetup.com and sign up for them. I'll leave a link down below, and they can work on stuff here. They could see how we work on stuff here, bring the equipment that they've screwed up something on, or just bring something they want help being walked through the process of troubleshooting. There's one gentleman here that came from Delaware yesterday who brings a couple of different laptops each time, and we walk him through troubleshooting, finding the problem, but also why this is the problem, and then we give you a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Like beginner's baby steps on how to repair it. So let's say this one needed a little bit of filing over here on these two resistors. I will give you a donor board to practice that technique before you then do it on your board for your customer. And I kind of enjoy doing these. We have paid classes at the store, but at the end of the day, I honestly much prefer doing this kind of stuff because when I started doing board repair, I was completely broke and there was no way in hell I was paying for any type of class. So it's kind of fun to be able to offer something that I wish would have been available when I had started doing this. Now, I've announced that I was doing this out of my for-profit business rather than the nonprofit, and I'd like to explain again why that is. If I do it out of the nonprofit, the whole point of doing it out of the nonprofit would be that I could use the funds in the nonprofit to be able to do this work. Yet that makes doing this a complete nightmare. So I like the idea that I can do this in my office at the store, where if I want to grab Paul for a really, really difficult hole in the board kind of job, I want to grab Chris for some obscure PC laptop motherboard repair kind of job, David for some long screw damage in a phone, or Steve for some PC 3000 data recovery advice, I can just walk into the other room and I have in my opinion, the world's best technicians when it comes to consumer electronics repair, and I can just say, hey, you have 10 minutes so I can show you this so that you can help me with educating this particular person that came in, or help me with this repair. I have that available. If I do it out of a repair preservation group, well, I can't use the funds from that to pay for this because I'd either be, because like I'd be paying my back office rent to my for-profit business from my nonprofit, which I'm the director of. Like, that just sounds a lot like embezzlement and an audit waiting to happen. And as somebody who's already getting audited by New York State, I don't need more of that. So I am not doing this out of there. What I'd have to do is I'd have to create a separate location, rent that separate location, or pay that separate location to host the workshops. I'd have to set up all the equipment separately. And if I wanted any of my store employees to show up there, they would have to take a 1-hour train ride away from their queue. They wouldn't be able to just walk back to the other room to go back to working on their queue. They would have to spend 4 or 5 hours several times a week at another location where if they were not needed, they would just be twiddling their thumbs, not working on their queue or anything else. If I paid them from the nonprofit and they took some of their store queue there, that would kind of also be embezzlement of time and a complete and utter clusterfuck, according to the nonprofit attorney that I've retained. So it's just best for me to be able to do this from my store, where I can very easily have access to all the technicians here, be able to ask them for advice. When they're done with giving their advice or helping that particular individual that came in, they can go back to their paid job, and it's just much more efficient that way and much easier for me to offer what I had in mind as my vision. And it actually seems to be working very well. So in the beginning, this one gentleman had a CD3215 issue. We walked him through how to tell that was the problem. Somebody came in that had some issue with some random ASUS board that I'm not familiar with, so Chris was able to help with that, and then we took him over to his station so that I could move on to the next thing. Paul was able to help someone that kind of destroyed all the pads in their board and show them how to hot glue something back together, and then I was showing Erica how to fix her MagSafe cable, if you even want to call that fix. This gentleman came in with a connector on a surface that he needed help with, and it was kind of fun to be able to just kind of have this experience of walking people through all these different things. So here is where I'm going to be absolutely shameless. If you're someone who, I'll be honest with you, I've done meetups as I've traveled the country and met with a lot of people that watch this channel. Most of you, no offense, seem to kind of be where I was when I started out with this business, which is broke. And if that's where you are more than welcome to show up for free to any of these workshops. I'll include a meetup.com link down below. A very small percentage of the people that I've had the privilege of meeting have been people that are in that like 10 millions to low 100 millions range. And there was one person that I met, was very grateful for the opportunity, who is actually a billionaire. If you are one of those individuals, I am going to be 110% shameless with my ask that if you like what I'm doing here and you want to see me be able to do this in an economically viable fashion into the future, do more of these workshops, continue to be able to involve my store, which I pay an astronomical rent on, and my staff, which I pay well for the people that have the abilities that were demonstrated on camera in this video, I will continue doing these workshops, and I will be shameless about the fact that there are donation links down below. So if you liked what I was doing, you watched this channel, and you are one of those 0.1% that I pointed out that I've met that are independently wealthy, I will shamelessly suggest that you check out these donation links down below to continue to make what I am doing here possible, and it would be highly, highly appreciated. Again, even if this Patreon thing stays around 11 or 1200 bucks, I'm going to continue doing these, and even if honestly nobody donates, I'm still going to wind up doing these. I will just do them with less regularity, and I will be limited in being able to involve my staff because they really will need to work on their queue. There's only so many overtime hours I can afford, or only so many other technicians I can afford based on the incoming work that comes in, and I am having them take time away from their paid for-profit work to do this type of stuff. I do intend to continue doing it. It's just how much of this can I actually afford to do, and how much can I kind of scale this idea within the store. So that's it for today. If you showed up, thank you very much for showing up, and I hope that you did learn something. And if you have any suggestions on how I could make these better, any suggestions on what can be done, again, I'm really more talking from a practical a practices standpoint more so than a like buy this, buy that, because I'm just not at the point where I can just buy a bunch of stuff for this. But if there's anything you think I could do to make this better from a practices or procedural standpoint, I am all ears. I'd like to make this as good as I can. And I want to make this provide as much value to as many people as humanly possible. As I mentioned in a video that I did about 3 years ago, right to repair is 99% inspiration, 1% legislation. If you want to live in a world where people value repair, if you want to live in a world where the next generation of folk actually care about repair, care about designing repairable products, refuse to work at or for companies that deal with creating products that are not repairable, then you have to actually get them involved. You have to get them excited. You have to get them to have that little kick of dopamine when their shit actually works again, when they were a part of making their stuff work again, when they can actually watch and ask questions and get excited when their stuff works again. And if you are somebody who is like-minded, and you're outside of that 10 million plus range that I'm talking about, that small percentage of subscribers I know that are very wealthy that I've met that do have the ability to donate to something like this, what you could do is you could start something like this in your own community. Start something like this in your own community. If you have a workshop and you have some spare time on certain days, announce it. Go to meetup.com, announce it on Craigslist, do a YouTube video, do pass out flyers or something at your local church, at your grocery store. If they have a little board where you could just hang pull tab signs, hang them, and host some workshops out of your own area. All you got to do is let people come in, have them bring stuff, and walk them through how to make it work. If you're worried that you won't be able to make everything work, listen, it's free. There's only so much people can expect when they're not paying. Don't be afraid to interact with members of your community and get them to be as excited about repair as you are. I'm doing it, and so far, this is my third or fourth workshop where I've just allowed anybody to show up. Again, I am a public figure with over 1 million subscribers in the middle of New York City, and I haven't had to deal with anything screwy just yet, and it really went great, and I had a great time interacting with all the people that came by. If you want to be a part of that 99% inspiration, 1% legislation, host one of these workshops in your own community. They're a lot of fun, and if you have the ability, if you have the equipment, if you have the mindset to be a teacher and walk people through things and help them out, even if it's not micro soldering, if it's car repair, appliance repair, or anything else, get people to remember what America was about. Get people to remember that we used to be a culture that had this self-reliance, that had this pride in working on our own stuff, that we didn't live in this world where you're not using the device the way you're supposed to. The way you're supposed to use the device is you're supposed to go to the manufacturer. I don't know why you're complaining because you're not using the device the way you're supposed to. You're supposed to use the device by bringing it to the manufacturer for repair and paying 75% or 99% the cost of a new one to fix it. Because that's a comment I got on a recent video. Louis, why are you... This is your fault because you're not using the product the way it was designed. And it's just like... There have to be enough of us that just do this to everybody who says that type of shit. And this is the way you do that. You teach people that what the culture was really about in America, what the culture was real. And if you're someone who is my elder, you know, again, if you're someone who's in their 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know that we used to be a country that used to fix our own shit. And you know that it took many, many years of brainwashing to get to a point where we don't do this shit anymore. And if you are in your 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, hey, I know how to do micro soldering on MacBooks, but you probably know how to fix a lot of shit that I don't know how to fix. And there's probably a lot of value that you could offer to people in your local community. There's probably skills that you have that you don't even, that you've forgotten about that would be valuable to other people. So think about it. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And again, if you are one of those super wealthy people and you do see those donate links and you do something, thank you.